Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I will present about the procedure of English material development. Before I start my presentation, let me introduce myself. My name is Calphine Prayudha with student number 068 from class B. Okay, let's start presentation. The slide one is definition. For definition, selecting and grading, defining, adapting, and evaluating. The first one is selecting and grading. Selecting and grading refers to the process of selecting and organizing learning materials based on students' ability levels to ensure a clear learning sequence. Material is arranged from simpler to more complex forms, so students can gradually grasp the content. This process is essential to avoid difficulties caused by mismatched ability levels or disorganized materials. Okay. Second procedure is designing. Designing refers to the process of developing learning materials, taking into account learning objectives and student needs. The, f- the focus is on organizing content and activities in a way that supports student understanding and engagement. Well-designed materials help students learn more effectively and make the learning process more meaningful. The third pro- procedure, adapting. Adapting refers to the process of modifying existing materials to better suit the learners and the classroom context. This includes adjusting the difficulty level, simplifying the content, and modifying assignments so that students can better understand and participate in the learning process. And the last procedure is evaluating. Evaluating is the process of assessing the effectiveness and appropriateness of learning materials. Evaluation helps identify the strengths and weaknesses of learning materials and provide information for improvement. Evaluation can be conducted before, during, and after the use of learning materials to ensure they effectively support learning. In next, selecting and grading. There are 3 points: relevant theory, research method, and result. Again, the first one is relevant theory. Selecting and grading are based on several key theories in second language acquisition. One is second language acquisition theory, which emphasizes that language learning should proceed gradually according to the student's abilities. Furthermore, presence input hypothesis is used, which states that each student will learn optimally if given input slightly above their level. I plus one. The principle of ease of learning is also important foundation, namely that materials should be arranged from simple to more complex to ensure easy comprehension by learners. Okay, and then next, research method. This study used a qualitative descriptive method focusing on content analysis of second semester English textbook at Northern University. Data were collected through document analysis techniques, evaluating the material structure, presentation sequence, and difficulty level in the textbook. Again, result. The research result indicate that the material was generally structured in a step-by-step manner, but some discrepancies were found in the order of difficulty. Some topics were deemed too complex for the students' abilities, and there was a lack of continuity between units. This suggests that the selection and assessment processes still need improvement to be more effective in supporting learning. Yeah. Next to designing. Okay, the relevant theories. This article draws on the theory of communicative language teaching, which emphasizes the use of language in real-life communication contexts. It also employs the task-based language teaching approach, which focuses on learning through meaningful tasks. Another relevant theory is the learner-centered approach, which places student at the center of learning, so material must be tailored to their needs and characteristics. And the method used in this study was library research, analyzing various sources and theoretical models for designing English language learning materials. This research did not involve direct experiments, but instead focused on conceptual and theoretical studies. Okay, and then the result so that effective material design must include the integration of all the four language scale, communicative activities, and the use of engaging media. Furthermore, the materials must be flexible and easily adapted to the learning context. Design will increase student engagement and overall learning effectiveness. Okay, move to adapting. In the relevant theories, this article utilizes Tomlinson's material development theory, which emphasizes that learning materials must be relevant, engaging, and tailored to student needs. Furthermore, a contextual learning approach is used, emphasizing the importance of connecting the materials to student real-life situation to enhance its meaning. Materials adaptation is also based on the principle that not all materials can be used directly without judgment. Okay. The in the research method, article number 3, this study used a mixed method approach, a combination of qualitative and quantitative method. Data were collected through questionnaires, observation, and teachers and student evaluation of the learning materials. This study compared the effectiveness of the learning materials before and after the adaptation. And then the result so that material adaptation has a positive impact on learning. Students become more active, understand the material better, and are more engaged in the learning process. Adaptation is carried out through simplifying the text, adapting it to the local context, and modifying learning activities. Okay, now the last procedure is evaluating. The evaluation of the materials in this article is based on the theories of Königsberg 1995 and Ellis 1997, which emphasize the importance of the material's relevance to learning objectives and student needs. This evaluation also includes three main stages: pre-use, during use, and post-use evaluation, allowing for a comprehensive assessment. Yeah. And then the research method for this research, this use a qualitative evaluation method with checklists and questionnaires as instrument. Data were collected from teachers and students to assess the quality of the learning materials based on various aspects such as content, language, and presentation. Then the research result so that materials evaluation is crucial for identifying the strengths and weaknesses of learning materials. Effective materials are relevant appropriate to the student's ability and appropriate to the student's ability levels, engaging and capable of improving language skill. Evaluation also serves as a as a basis for future materials revision and development. Okay, and the next two key findings. for procedures, English material development. The first one is selecting and grading. Materials were generally arranged in sequence, but there were inconsistencies in difficulty level. Point two, some materials were not appropriate to learners' proficiency level. In three, there was a lack of continuity between units. And then the last point, these issues may affect student understanding and learning progression. And then next to designing, materials were designed based on learning objective. And point two, some parts were not fully aligned with student needs. And point three, the organization of content was not always clear, making it less effective for learning. And the next point, improvement are needed to make materials more suitable and effective. And next to adapting, adapting materials made them for more suitable for student and classroom context. And two, modification helped simplify content and improve understanding. And then point three, students became more active and engaged after adaptation. And the last point, adaptation is necessary because original materials are not always directly applicable. The last procedure is evaluating. Evaluating help identify strengths and weaknesses of the materials. And then point two, some materials were appropriate while others needed revision. And then point three, evaluation provided useful information for improvement. And then the last point, continuous evaluation is important to maintain effectiveness. The next slide is conclusion. The first one is the first one, although materials were arranged sequentially, inconsistencies in difficulty level and lack of continuity indicate that better grading is needed to match learners' proficiency and support clear learning progression. In the second, materials were developed based on learning objectives. However, some parts were not fully aligned with students' needs, showing that better organization and adjustment are required for more effective learning. And then the third one, adapting materials proved to be important as modification in content and thus made materials more suitable, easier to understand, and increase students' participation. And then the last number, evaluation revealed strengths and weaknesses of the materials and show that continuous evaluation is necessary to improve their effectiveness and ensure they remain appropriate for learners. Okay, I think it's enough. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.